Welcome to Bioscience class. Well, dear students, in yesterday's video, we discussed about biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste. Today, we are going to discuss one more subtopic of our chapter, our environment. So, today's topic is ecosystem. What's ecosystem? Ecosystem is defined as community of life forms in concurrence with non-living components interacting with each other. इकोसिस्टम किसको बोलते हैं? इकोसिस्टम इज इंटरेक्शन बिटवीन लिविंग एंड नॉन लिविंग कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ इन्वायरमेंट. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल वी कैन से जो लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स हैं लाइक प्लांट्स और एनिमल्स वो इंटरेक्ट करते हैं among themselves. There is interaction between plants and animals as well as with their physical surrounding like soil, air, water. जो लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स हैं दे इंटरेक्ट विथ वन अनदर, एक दूसरे के साथ कैसी इनकी इंटरेक्शन होती है? थ्रू फूड चेन इन विच वन लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म दैट कंज्यूम्स द अदर. और जो इनकी फिजिकल सराउंडिंग है और वी कैन से जो इनका फिजिकल इन्वायरमेंट है इसके साथ इनकी कैसी इंटरेक्शन रहती है? जैसे हम बोल सकते हैं जो प्लांट्स है they interact with soil to get essential nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, or we can say it interacts with air to get carbon dioxide, and and also with water bodies for carrying out the process of photosynthesis. ठीक है. Thus we can say जो ये various communities of living organisms है like biotic communities like plants and animals along with soil, air and water of that region, they form a self-sustaining or we can say functional unit of living world. Thus we can say जो ecosystem है ये क्या है? Structural and functional unit of ecology where the living organisms interact with each other and also the surrounding environment. Thus we can say जो ecosystem है it is a chain of interaction between organisms and their environment. And the term ecosystem it was first coined by A.G. Tansley. He was an English botanist in 1935. This thus you remember जो ecosystem term है ये किसने coin किया first? It was coined by A.G. Tansley. Objectives में भी कभी पूछा जाता एग्जाम में. Who coined the term ecosystem? Term ecosystem it was coined by A.G. Tansley in 1935. Thus we can say जो ecosystem है it is a self-contained unit of living things like plants, animals and decomposers and their non-living environment like soil, air and water. Now there are different types of ecosystems. An ecosystem जो है it only needs the input of sunlight energy for its functioning. ठीक है. ये जो ecosystem we can give here different examples of ecosystem like ecosystem can be small as well as big. There are different types of ecosystem like terrestrial ecosystems, aquatic ecosystems. What are terrestrial ecosystems? They are exclusively land-based ecosystems. Terrestrial ecosystems are those ecosystems which exist on land, and there are different types of terrestrial ecosystems. टेरिस्ट्रियल इकोसिस्टम में हम क्या क्या देख सकते हैं? लाइक फॉरेस्ट इकोसिस्टम, ग्रासलैंड इकोसिस्टम, टुंड्रा इकोसिस्टम, डेजर्ट इकोसिस्टम. व्हाट इज फॉरेस्ट इकोसिस्टम? फॉरेस्ट इकोसिस्टम क्या होता है? जो किस में होता है? फॉरेस्ट में हम डिफरेंट इकोसिस्टम देखते हैं. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल फॉरेस्ट जो है इट इज़ इटसेल्फ एन इकोसिस्टम. फॉर एग्जांपल इसमें सेवरल प्लांट्स हैं, एनिमल्स हैं, माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स हैं, एंड दीज ऑर्गेनिजम्स जो है they live in coordination with their abiotic factors of environment, in coordination with non-living factors of environment like soil, air, water. And जो ये forests है they help in maintaining the temperature of earth and are major carbon sink. जो ये forests है, it is an ecosystem in which physical environment of forest like soil, air and water along with the plants and animals which occur in the forest. Second, we can give an example here is grassland ecosystem. ग्रासलैंड में क्या होता है, जो वेजिटेशन वहाँ पे होती है, प्लांट्स होते हैं दैट इज डोमिनेटेड बाय ग्रास एंड हर्ब्स, और जो grass and herbs, they are in coordination or they are in interaction with their physical environment. ठीक है. Temperate grasslands, or we can say savanna grassland, they are some examples of grassland ecosystem. Third, we can here is tundra ecosystem. Tundra ecosystem, for example, these are devoid of trees and are found in cold climates or where rainfall is scarce. टुंड्रा इकोसिस्टम में जो होते हैं वहाँ ज़्यादा वेजिटेशन नहीं होती है, क्योंकि दीज आर फाउंड इन कोल्ड क्लाइमेट्स, और वहाँ जो रेनफॉल होती है वो बहुत ही कम होती है, बिकॉज वहाँ पे क्या ज़्यादा होता है, स्नो, एंड बिकॉज दीज एरियाज आर covered with snow for most of years, and the ecosystem is in the Arctic or mountain tops is tundra type. ठीक है. This is also terrestrial ecosystem. A desert ecosystem, they are found throughout the world. These are the regions with little rainfall. The days where are hot and nights are cold. This means these are different terrestrial ecosystems. Naturally occurring terrestrial ecosystem like tundra ecosystem, grassland ecosystem, desert ecosystem and forest ecosystem. Now, second type of ecosystem are aquatic ecosystem. Aquatic ecosystems किनको हम कहते हैं कि aquatic जो कहाँ पे present होते हैं, in water, and these aquatic ecosystem, these can be further divided into two types: freshwater ecosystem, marine ecosystem. Freshwater ecosystem is an aquatic ecosystem which includes lakes, ponds, rivers, streams, wetlands. They have no salt content in contrast with the marine ecosystem. There are जो ये एक्वाटिक इकोसिस्टम, इसमें भी फ्रेश वाटर इकोसिस्टम आते हैं और मैरीन इकोसिस्टम, फ्रेश वाटर जिसमें साल्ट कंटेंट नहीं होता, और मैरीन इकोसिस्टम में क्या आते हैं, सीज, ओशंस, जिनमें क्या होता है, साल्ट कंटेंट, एंड दे हैव ग्रेटर बायोडाइवर्सिटी इन कंपैरिजन विद टू फ्रेश वाटर इकोसिस्टम. ठीक है. फ्रेश वाटर में आप दे सकते हो एग्जांपल पॉन्ड्स की, लेक्स की, रिवर्स की, और जो मैरीन इकोसिस्टम है इसमें आप एग्जांपल सीज एंड ओशंस. These are naturally occurring ecosystem, but there can also are some man-made ecosystems like, or we can say artificial ecosystem, like हमारे क्रॉप फील्ड्स है, हमारे गार्डन्स है, हमारी पार्क्स है, एक्वेरियम है. These are man-made ecosystems, or we can say artificial ecosystem. In short, we can say जो ecosystem है, there is interaction between living and non-living components of environment. Now, what are different components, or we can say what is the structure of the ecosystem? The structure of ecosystem is characterized by organization of both biotic and abiotic components. This includes the distribution of energy in our environment. It also includes the climatic conditions prevailing in that particular environment. जो भी ecosystem है, they are made up of two components, biotic and abiotic components. और जो abiotic components, this means non-living components, and biotic component means living components. ठीक है. जो thus we can say जो ecosystem है, it consists of non-living environment and living biological community. Thus there are two components of ecosystem, biotic and abiotic components. What are biotic? Here you can see ecosystem, it has two factors, biotic and abiotic components. Abiotic component में क्या आते हैं, these are non-living components of environment, and it includes physical environment like soil, air, and water, along with inorganic substances like carbon dioxide, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur, sodium, potassium, calcium, and other elements that are present in them. इसमें फिजिकल फैक्टर्स और क्लाइमेटिक फैक्टर्स भी आ सकते हैं लाइक लाइट टेम्परेचर प्रेशर ह्यूमिडिटी दे आर आल्सो कंसिडर्ड एबायोटिक components or abiotic factors of our ecosystem. Second is biotic factors. What are biotic? Biotic is simply living components of ecosystem or like plants, animals, which is made up of many different interdependent populations. ठीक है और जो ये biotic component है it has further three types of organisms: producers, consumers, and decomposers. Producers are simply autotrophs which synthesize or prepare their own food. इसमें green plants आते हैं और जो consumers हैं they are heterotrophs which depend on autotrophs for their food. एंड जो इसमें हम एग्जाम्पल दे सकते हैं ऑल एनिमल्स दे आर कंज्यूमर्स और हेटेरोट्रॉप्स और जो डिकम्पोजर्स हैं these are simply microorganisms which consume the dead remains of other organisms like plants and animals. इसमें हम दे सकते हैं एग्जाम्पल बैक्टीरिया और फंजे की और जो ये कंज्यूमर्स है they have further been divided into three categories: primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. What are primary consumers? These are herbivores which directly consume food, which directly consume plants. These are the category of organisms or animals which eat only plant products. लाइक हम इसमें एग्जांपल दे सकते हैं गोट की, शीप की, हॉर्स, डियर, कैमल, ऑस, एलिफेंट, मंकी, रैबिट एक्स्ट्रा. और जो ये है सेकेंड आर प्राइमरी कार्निवोर्स. What are carnivores? These are the organisms which eat only animals as their food. ठीक है जो डिपेंड करते हैं जो खाते हैं एनिमल्स को ही they are known as carnivores or they are also known as primary carnivores, sorry secondary consumers और primary carnivores. इसमें हम एग्जांपल दे सकते हैं लॉइन, टाइगर, वल्चर, लिजर्ड और वुल्फ, स्नेक, हॉक. these are primary carnivores. एंड थर्ड कैटेगरी जो है वो है टर्शरी कार्निवोर्स. टर्शरी कार्निवोर्स हम किन को बोलते हैं? These are the large carnivores or we can say top carnivores which feed upon small carnivores. जो फॉर एग्जांपल जो एनिमल्स फीड करते हैं स्मॉल कार्निवोर्स पे उनको क्या कहते हैं? टर्शरी कंज्यूमर्स और वी कैन से सेकेंडरी कार्निवोर्स. ठीक है these are the animals which feed on small carnivores. फॉर एग्जाम्पल लॉइन है, टाइगर है, बर्ड्स एंड ह्यूमंस. दे आर ह्यूमंस मैन दे आर सम ऑफ द टर्शरी कार्निवोर्स. ठीक है और इसमें फिर और एक कैटेगरी आती है दैट आर ओमनिवोर्स विच फीड बोथ ऑन प्लांट एंड एनिमल प्रोडक्ट्स. Here you can see producers, consumers, and जो consumers है they have further been divided. Primary consumers they are always herbivores. Second consumer they depend on primary consumers for their energy, and tertiary consumers depend on secondary consumers for their food. ठीक है और decomposers they include microorganisms that decompose the dead and decaying organic matter. And जो decomposers है they are essential in the ecosystem as they help in recycling nutrients that are to be reused by plants. ठीक है now we can see what are different functions of ecosystem. Functions of ecosystem are as it regulates the essential ecological process, supports life system and renders stability. जो ये हमारा ecosystem है इसकी क्या function है? It maintains balance in our environment. It supports different life systems and it helps in maintaining stability in our environment. ठीक है, like we can say जो ये ecosystem है, it functions as self sufficient or independent unit in nature. जो इकोसिस्टम है इसमें लिविंग कंपोनेंट्स भी है, नॉन लिविंग कंपोनेंट्स भी है, और वी कैन से जो ये कंपोनेंट्स है दे मेक द इकोसिस्टम. फॉर एग्जांपल जो प्लांट्स है, from the nutrient pool of the earth like soil, air, water, plants absorb different nutrients from soil. It takes carbon dioxide from atmosphere, it absorbs water from soil, and with the help of sunlight जो ये plants है they convert these inorganic substances into organic compounds like carbohydrates which act as a food. ठीक है, ये मैं बोलती हूँ आपको कि कैसे जो है हमारा इकोसिस्टम, हाउ इट फंक्शंस, हाउ इट regulates the essential ecological processes, how it is responsible for cycling of nutrients between biotic and abiotic components. It maintains a balance in among the various trophic levels in ecosystem. It cycles the minerals through the biosphere, and the biotic components they help in synthesis of organic components that involves the exchange of energy. ये कैसे हम एक्सप्लेन करते हैं कि जो ये फंक्शन ऑफ इकोसिस्टम ये कैसे फंक्शन करता है. जो प्लांट्स है दे एब्जॉर्ब वाटर फ्रॉम सॉइल, दे टेक कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड फ्रॉम एयर, दे एब्जॉर्ब डिफरेंट न्यूट्रिएंट्स फ्रॉम सॉइल. ठीक है, and they also trap sun and sunlight for preparing food. Thus we can say जो plants है they convert inorganic substance into organic compounds like carbohydrates. ठीक है, जो ये कंज्यूमर्स है that's we can plants जो है they prepare their own food by using inorganic substance. और जो कंज्यूमर्स है or we can say animals they derive their energy needs directly or indirectly from producers or we can say plants. ठीक है, और जब ये plants या animals when they die, जो डिकम्पोजर्स है, जो थर्ड कैटेगरी ऑफ माइक्रो दीज ऑर्गेनिजम्स है, वो करते हैं दे एक्ट ऑन देयर बॉडीज टू रिटर्न द वेरियस एलिमेंट्स बैक टू द सॉइल, वाटर एंड एयर. ठीक है, जब ये डिकम्पोज करते हैं फिर डेड बॉडीज ऑफ प्लांट्स एंड एनिमल्स जो उनमें न्यूट्रिएंट्स होते हैं दे रिटर्न बैक टू आवर न्यूट्रिएंट पूल लाइक सॉइल, एयर एंड वाटर. जो ये न्यूट्रेंट पूल में वापस जाते हैं ये न्यूट्रेंट्स दे आर अगेन यूज्ड बाय प्लांट्स, and these plants are again directly or indirectly they are again consumed by animals, and this process it continues. Thus we can say जो ecosystem है it involves input of energy and matter which are exchanged between living and non-living components in a cyclic process. In a cyclic process, so we can say जो हमारा ecosystem है it cycles the minerals through the biosphere, or we can say it maintains a balance among various trophic levels in the ecosystem. And जो abiotic components है it helps in synthesis of organic components which in that involves the exchange of energy, like जो abiotic components soil, air and water है ये it helps the plants in sense of organic component like carbohydrate which is used as a food which transports energy to different organisms at various trophic levels. ठीक है, thus you remember your ecosystem is simply interaction between living and non-living components of our environment. Or there are different types of ecosystem like pond ecosystem, forests, grassland. ठीक है, and what are different components of ecosystem, biotic and abiotic components, and डिफरेंट फिर हमने देखा जो बायोटिक कंपोनेंट इसमें में क्या डिफरेंट कैटेगरीज है. और जो फंक्शन ऑफ इकोसिस्टम है वो हमने देखा कि इट रेगुलेट्स एसेंशियल इकोलॉजिकल प्रोसेस, it is responsible for cycling of nutrients, it maintains a balance between various trophic levels in ecosystem, it maintains a cycle through the biosphere, it helps the in sense of organic components from abiotic components of our environment. This is all about ecosystem. Thank you.